know that the 1971 Indo-Pak War was a pivotal conflict that resulted in the creation of Bangladesh. The Indian military, in conjunction with the Mukti Bahini, launched a swift and defensive attack, and it was a decisive offensive actually, and they overwhelmed the Pakistani forces in East Pakistan. And on 16th of December 1971, the Pakistani forces in Dhaka surrendered. This war significantly altered the geopolitical landscape of South Asia, and it established India as a significant and dominant regional power. It demonstrated India's military capabilities and its willingness to intervene in regional affairs. Now, all three of you did not remain unaffected by this brutal battle and have written about it, about the 1971 conflict. Now, I'm sure that before we jump right into the battlefield, the audience would like to know about the literary journey of each one of you. So I'll begin with the senior-most person on the panel, that is Tanushri Poddar. Now, you straddle multiple genres, as has just been told to us, and you do so with ease, from crime to historical to military to cli-fi to paranormal to children's books, all after working in the corporate sector. In fact, you remind me of the words of the great American poet, Walt Whitman, who said that, "Do I contradict myself? Very well, I do contradict myself. I contain multitudes." So I think that applies to you, Tanushri. Tell us about your literary journey and especially about your book, Men of Steel.
Thank you, Ruby. First of all, thank you all for taking out the time to be here. It's a beautiful place, and I congratulate you for being here today to listen to us, because I believe that there is a lot of learning to be taken away when you attend such sessions. To begin with, I am nothing but a soldier. Like you all are aware of, a soldier has many duties. I too perform a lot of duties, and one of them is to write, because it's close to my heart. And I don't contain myself in one container. I like to spread my joy for myself amidst whatever I do. And I like to write in various genres just because it provides me an opportunity to learn so much. And every human being continues to learn till he dies. And each experience in life teaches us something. When I write a certain book, I research that particular subject, and that is my learning, that's my takeaway. I do it for my own joy, more than what, people presume I write because it is for selling the book. No, it isn't. It is for my learning, my personal interest. And of course, because I'm involved in it so much, it brings out the best in me. And that's how I tread into various genres. And of course, like Gurpreet before me has mentioned, some of us get bored pretty easily. And I would hate to remain, confined to one subject, because I am a very flighty person with short interest spans, which is what I see across genres. And I see people today having very short, span. So I do it for myself once again. In the process, if I am successful, it's because of the generosity of the people around me, the readers who have given me so much of their time and energy.
Thank you, Tanushri, for the wonderful answer where you revealed that you are flighty and you get bored easily. I think we all are somewhere or the other. Now, coming to Rachna, you are literally the doyen of military books, and military fiction has gained so much of popularity thanks to you. So tell us, how did you start on this journey, and how have you devoted your life to our beloved Indian Army?
Thank you, Ruby. Doyen, I'm not too sure. There were people like General Cardozo writing beautiful books much before I started, so I wouldn't like to say that. But for me, the journey started by accident. Actually, it started where I thought it was ending. this happened, and Dehradun had a very big role to play in it, because 30 years back, when I was working with the Indian Express and I wanted to be a writer and a journalist and a reporter, and I was doing pretty okay with Prabhu Chawla as my editor. That is when I came for a family wedding to Dehradun, and I ran into this gentleman cadet from the Indian Military Academy, and who had gate crashed that wedding. He was just there looking for some good food. So we met, we just said hello to each other, and then I went back to Delhi, went back to work, and I was staying in a working girls hostel. And in December he passed out, and then he sent me a card saying, hey, do you remember me? I am that handsome GC you met in the Dehradun wedding. And he said, would you like to marry me? So that was very sudden, and then he came down to Delhi and he met me, and I told him that I am enjoying journalism. And marrying an army officer means an end to my career, which I really didn't want to do at that time. So he said, okay, I'll give you a year's time. Whenever I get leave, I will come to Delhi and meet you. And I'm sure you're going to like me more than you like journalism. So he was right. And that's how it happened. And after a year, I quit journalism and writing against everybody's advice and against whatever I wanted to do, my dreams, and I married him because I loved him more than I loved writing. And it went on like that for the next 15 years, I think. I was an army wife. I was just moving from one small cantonment to another, working in schools where it was possible. If there was a newspaper, I would take up a job. But I was writing a blog because I loved writing. I kept writing a blog. And just by chance, when I was 43 years old, that is when this opportunity came. Penguin Random House was looking for an author for a book they wanted done on the Paramveer Chakra Award winners. And I had an old colleague who had been reading my blog. So she told me, it's your dream to write a book, do you want to write this one? So I would have written any book. Koi bhi kitab milti main likh leti, because I just wanted to write one book in my life. So they gave me a test assignment. I wrote the story of Captain Manoj Pandey, who was a Kargil PVC. And they liked the story. That's how The Brave happened. And then one book after another. That book became very popular, and that's how the journey started when I was 43 years old.
Excellent. It very nicely brings out the confidence of our IMA GCs, which is of course to be found across the board, and also the sacrifices that army wives make in order to keep their families together. So, and also I think it's a lesson to all the girls, young girls sitting here, that it's never too late to start. She began at 43 and look where she is now. So it's never too late to begin anything. That's something that we can be inspired by. Now coming to Deepak, the fact is that Tanushri and Rachna both have been in the army, so to speak. But Deepak, you are an out-and-out civilian. You have no connection with army life, kuch bhi nahi pata army ke bare mein, and yet you write so insightfully and so touchingly about stories about the army. And when I spoke to Deepak over the phone, the story he told me, that how he got into it and the research that went into writing about these army stories really touched my heart. So tell us about your journey.
Thank you, ma'am. As you told, ma'am, I come from a business family. Like, we are Marwadis. We are from Rajasthan, but we shifted to Bangalore 7 decades ago. So in the year 2004, I was in class 3, and we had two famous Bollywood movies which had come up, LOC Kargil and Lakshya. Lakshya, part of which was shot at the IMA. And I saw those movies with my cousins, and like any other movie, we think these are fictional characters. So as time went by, I was in class 8, it was 2009. And I remember it was the 10th year anniversary of the Kargil War. And there was a small booklet behind my history textbook which had all these names. Captain Vikram Batra, Captain Anuj Nair, Captain Vijayan Thapar. So I came back, the same day I came home, and the documentary of Kargil War was playing on the NDTV. And Vikram Batra's famous interview in which he told the Dil Mange More, that was being played out. And below his name was written Captain Vikram Batra Paramveer Chakra Posthumous. So at that time I did not know the real meaning of posthumous, so I asked my mother that, what's the meaning? She told me that posthumous is an award given to you after your death, after your sacrifice. So that struck me, that an officer, a 25-year-old officer who's smiling to the cameras, explaining the blow-by-blow account of the battle, and we lost him 6 days after that interview. So this interest kept spiking up YouTube came in by 2011. I saw his full interview. Then in 2013, when I was in ISC, I was in 11th. That's when LinkedIn had just started. LinkedIn had just come up, and I saw his brother's email ID, vishalbatra9@gmail.com. I still remember. I dashed off a mail like any other teenager that ye dil mange more, I'm Sher Shah's biggest fan, this and that. I still have that email. And he reverted back. I had dropped my contact in the mail. He reverted back, hey Vishal, I'm Vishal from Chandigarh. And this is how the journey began. He was my first contact in the army. And subsequently I went to Palampur, which is the Veer Bhumi. And I went to the houses of Major Sudhir Walia, Captain Vikram Batra, and Captain Saurabh Kalia. And when I held their medals in my hand, the feeling cannot be explained. When Vikram Batra's Paramveer Chakra was given to me by his mother, we lost her last year, Kamal Kanta ma'am. That's when I realized that this story shouldn't be confined to the Kangra Valley. Because in 2016, people from where I come in Bangalore, they hardly knew who Captain Vikram Batra was. Let alone, they did not even know about Major Sandeep Unnikrishnan, who's a Bangalore boy. So that's how I took it up as a challenge to bring out his story. Like General Chaturvedi told my father also, sir, when I told him that I'll be writing a book, so he laughed at me on my face and told me you'll not be able to write more than 30 pages. But then with the help of God, the grace of my elders, so I got one contact, one after the other. And then the army is a very warm place. I would like to tell, I'm a civilian, total civilian. But wherever I go, be it a field location or peace station, I'm welcomed with open arms. And when they know that you're doing something genuine, you're putting genuine efforts, so they go out of their way. So that's how I've been able to develop contacts. One contact leads to another. I'd just like to cite two small examples. Lieutenant General Y.K. Joshi, who retired as the Northern Army Commander. So I went to his house. I was given 45 minutes for an interview. This is in 2017 when he was DG Infantry. And I was given 45 minutes, and first General Joshi was actually surprised when he saw me. So he expected a 40-plus-year-old journalist coming up to his house, but when he saw me, yeah, Deepak, you're so young. So that's how I went, and that 45-minute interview stretched to a 2.5-hour interview. So it was a Mahashivratri, he had to go for puja, but still he sat down, he gave me a pen drive, he put the presentation of the Kargil war, and he explained to me what an air bust is, an artillery air bust, the RL air bust is. So he took out the pen to explain, me, a civilian, a 20-year-old. It wouldn't have mattered to him had he, left the interview. So that is one thing about the army. Second is Brigadier Mohit Saxena. He was from the 2 Rajrif. So I had an appointment with him for my second book, The Kargil Story. It was at 7 p.m. So he got late. He was posted at the Delhi Rajrif Center. He gave me a call at 11:30 p.m. He told me, Deepak, आप आ सकते हो वसंत कुंज? I told sir, yes, आ सकता हूँ, क्यों नहीं? He gave me an interview till 2 a.m. in the morning. You can imagine, after a tiring day, he took out time for me. So that's how I've been able to, write these books. It is because of the army. Whatever I am, it is because of the army and my family. And again, Rachna ma'am, as you told, she's the pioneer of writing books on military history, especially touching the human angle. Earlier, we had books which was written Alpha Company attacked from east, Bravo Company attacked from west. HR is 2000 hours and we capture the feature by 300 hours. But she's the one who brought in that, that entire thing about how an officer and a Jawan interact with each other while they're going and stuff. So she's my guru.
So very interesting story, and now we will jump right into the battlefield of 1971. And I have a personal connection with war because my father, Colonel Dr. R.B. Gupta, was in the 1965 war as well as the 1971 war. And he was posted as commanding officer in Udhampur, which is at the border. And the airfields of Udhampur were crucial, and they needed to be destroyed by the Pakistani Air Force. And it so happened that my mother was also there because she could not go back, she was pregnant and all those kind of things. And he was the commanding officer, and the house which was allotted to him was known as Basha. It was a kind of a tented house in which there would be squirrels and rats and everything. So my father said, we'll not stay in this. They took a rented accommodation. And the war broke out, so they had blackened all the windows so that the aircrafts of the Pakistanis which are going would not be able to see any kind of population staying there. And there were trenches which were dug up in the front lawn. And my mother says whenever the siren would go off, they had to go in the middle of the night into the trenches and so on and so forth. So I have a personal connection with both these wars. And coming to the 1971 war, I'll start with you, Tanushri. There is a very poignant story about Lieutenant Arun Khetrapal. Tell us about it.
Actually, 1971 war was something which was very different from the previous one that we had fought. And this Arun Khetrapal was just 21 when he died, which is I just can't imagine a 21-year-old boy going to the war field and dying there. It's just unimaginable because at 21 people are enjoying life. They're going to college. They're gallivanting around, having fun. So there was this boy who actually went through the rigmaroles of getting trained in NDA, then IMA. And he was a bright-eyed boy looking forward to a glorious career because his grandfather had also been in the army, father had also been in the army. He believed in carrying on the traditions. This boy being a very, very bright boy, he was also into music, debates, and he had studied in one of the best schools. And what happened is that he was off for the young officers course, and their course was cut short because of the war, and he was sent off for the war. He was from 17 Pune Horse, which was later converted into the tank armored thing, and he was in charge of the A Squadron. B Squadron, this was fought near the Basantar area, and we all know that the Battle of Basanta is one of the most significant ones during the 1971 war. And what happened was he was so full of josh and dreamed of glory and doing something for the nation. So he volunteered to go where no one else would go. The B Squadron was hit. The officer himself was injured, and he just rushed to his aid, taking all the risks. And mind you, this was a place where the Pakistanis were in large number, and they had a lot of tanks, superior ones, and we had our Centurion tanks. And his tank was called Famagusta. He had fondly named it Famagusta. If you want, you can still go and see it in Ahmednagar, where it stands proudly today. And he was surrounded, like in my book I said, it was like Abhimanyu being in the Chakravyuh. The only thing he could do was abandon his tank, which is what his officer commanded him to do. But he refused to do it, because had he done that, the Pakistanis would have rushed onwards for a very long distance. So he wanted to stop them. And he said, no sir, I will not abandon my tank. I'll continue, my main gun is still firing, and I'll continue. And he continued, and he did destroy quite a few tanks, stopped the Pakistanis from advancing, but in the process, he was shot and he died. So this is a very poignant story of a boy who could have gone and become something great. So I was very touched by this story, and thank you, Ruby, for asking me this question.
Yeah, so as a mark of respect in IMA, I've been there for 10 years now. The main auditorium has been named after him, called the Khetrapal Auditorium. And after every event, we sing the army song. And just to give you young people an idea about what makes the army, I'll just quote 2 lines of the army song. It starts with, Kadam kadam badhaye ja, khushi ke geet gaye ja, ye zindagi hai kaum ki, tu kaum pe lutaye ja. So this is what makes the army what it is, and which inspires our brave men to make the supreme sacrifice for our country.
I just take a moment here. The song that you mentioned was Subhash Chandra Bose's song.
Yes.
As children, we have sung it in schools because Azad Hind Fauj used to sing it.
Right. So what we have to understand, there is a human, humans are involved. And Rachna, you chose to write about the human element in the war. And was this a conscious decision that you talked about the interpersonal relationships in the war? And since we are running short of time, I will quickly add another question to this. I read your story, Box of Sweets, and it was so heart-touching. By the time I finished it, my eyes were moist and I had a lump in my throat. It was such a heart, even now when I talk about the story, I'm getting goosebumps. Tell us about that story and about the human cost of war on either side. Men on both sides are dying.
So you put 3 questions. I'll try to answer them as briefly
Yeah,
as I
because
can.
we are running short of time.
Yeah. Okay. So the human side of war is probably because I have been surrounded by the men in olive green all my life. My grandfather was a Fauji. He was Subedar Major Revat Singh Bisht. My father, Brigadier Bisht, was from the Paras. My brother, Colonel Samir Bisht, fought the Kargil War. He was also from the Paras. He is. My husband is from the engineers. And now my nephew has also joined the army. So it's the 4th generation in the army, and that's the world I grew up in. And it has always fascinated me, and there are so many Faujis sitting in the audience and future Faujis, the NCC cadets here as well. So it always fascinates me that Fauji jo hai, we look at him as a soldier, but actually he's a brother, he's a son, he's a husband. How is it that when the call for battle comes, this man will just lace up his boots and go to battle, completely forgetting his other roles in life? He just forgets that he's a son, he's a husband, he's a father, knowing that he might never come back, and so many of them never come back. So that is why I concentrate on the human side of war. And to add to the Anushri's story about Arun Khetrapal, 30 years after 1971, Brigadier Khetrapal, that is Arun's father, he went to Lahore for an old boys reunion because he had studied in Lahore, and he was hosted by a brigadier from the Pakistani army, जिनके घर में वो 3 दिन रहे. और 3rd day पे Brigadier Nasir told Brigadier Khetrapal that he had a confession to make, and he said that I was the one who killed Arun. So that was the human side of war. That was a father meeting the man who had killed his son. And Brigadier Nasir asked for forgiveness, and Arun's father, he said, Brigadier Khetrapal said, you were a soldier doing your duty, and so was Arun. So that's how it is. And do we have time for box of sweets? If we don't, let's leave it.
Okay, we'll just see.
Yeah,
So
okay.
coming to Deepak, you have written about the brave exploits of Lieutenant Colonel Surinder Kapoor, Mahavir Chakra, and he led his battalion in action at 4 different places in East Bangladesh. So tell us about this very briefly. We are running out of time.
So he led his battalion in the Battle of Shamganj. I think when I was seeing the Jacriff crest, so I saw Shamganj 1971, and I realized that this battle has never been spoken about. People, when we speak about the 71 war, they talk about Basanta, they talk about Longewala, they talk about the Tangel airdrop, but they never spoke about the Battle of Shamganj. So this was a battle which was fought in the southwestern sector of then East Pakistan, which is now Bangladesh, and his action happened at a place called Shamganj. So generally we call the 71 war as a 14-day war. But for a few units like 1 Jacriff, the war actually began in the 2nd week of November. When Pakistanis provoked them, they went inside, they trained the Mukti Bahini, and since we have a shortage of time, I'll come to the last battle. The Battle of Shamganj was fought on December 15th, and that was perhaps the last battle which was fought before the ceasefire. Colonel Surinder Kapoor lost 51 of his bravehearts, but with the capture of Shamganj, the gates to Khulna, which was the last port town from where the Pakistanis were looking to run away. So there they surrendered. Brigadier Hayat Khan of 107 Infantry Brigade of Pakistan surrendered to this battalion. So this is how this, since there's a paucity of time, saying this briefly.
Absolutely. So we see that how war makes us pay a very heavy price in terms of our men who die and our men who are injured. Now, I would like the audience to ask a few questions, if they would like to ask something. Audience members. Okay, we have Dr. Kuldeep Datta.
Thank you, ma'am. Just to supplement what you said, Tanushree, while training for MD in Lucknow, we used to go to the command hospital, which is the neurological center for neurology. And there I happened to meet a major from the Armored Corps who was there in the ward for a number of months, and we tried to find out what happened to him. They said he is traumatized and he's going through a phase of depression. So once we had a talk with the major, and the story that we got, he came to face with a Pakistani youngster whom he captured, and that Pakistani youngster started crying, and he took out his wallet, and in his wallet was his wife's picture. He had just been married a week before, and he started crying, now I'll be killed. This major said, Sonny, I can't leave you, but I want to leave you also. So I'll close my eyes, you run for your life, and after that I'm going to open fire. If you get killed, it's your luck. If you live, God bless you. He says, so I closed my eyes, I opened fire, and after that I didn't open my eyes. And that picture does not go away from my mind. So that's one of the human faces of the army, whether it's our army or any army, which you come to see. And that man was there for about 6 months, undergoing treatment for this thing. I thought I'd share this episode with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Datta. I think that's the same similar story which Rachna has recounted. Okay, we have another question. Otherwise, we could have asked you to tell that story.
Hello and namaskar everybody. This is Sakshi Pokhriyal,